What's going on, traders? Welcome to the channel. My name is John. That's Groot, the hodler. We trade options here. All right, so the AMC saga does continue. You're seeing the trend line has held pretty well until today. Now, big question, does it turn into resistance? We'll investigate that in a minute. Let's find out. But I did end up, after seeing us get close to a test and a retest, I did actually add to my call option. So let me just quickly explain that to you, what happened. Let me also explain that I am not a financial advisor. So please just understand, super speculative stuff. When you're playing with naked call options that you're just buying outright, these have a strong chance of going to zero. And so you do need to be careful. I'm literally playing with a very small fraction of my account. Basically, I'm just saying like, hey, I'll spend a couple bucks on a lotto ticket. If it soars really high and it makes my account go up manyfold, then I'm very happy. If not, I don't mind. I took my risk out of the trade earlier, and here's a previous video that explains what happened. But I was going from about, I think at the high here, I was at like 32, 33,000. So Root and I apparently don't like profits. I'm totally kidding. But basically, to explain this, under any normal trade, I would have definitely taken out about 25 to 50% profits. I did not for a few reasons. The only profit I took out was my actual cost basis. That way I was playing with house money at the time. Today though, I did add a couple more options, and I'll show you where I did on the chart so you can see it, but that did kind of pack my risk back on just a little bit. And again, I'm at a point where I'm okay if I was to lose some money in the trade, or if these all went to zero, fine. I live to trade another day. I'm at the poker table still. So keep that in mind if someone is looking at this. I just want you to see and understand my stream of consciousness. Definitely don't follow my trades because the market moves fast. I can't keep you up to date on every little thing that goes on. And I don't get paid for that. Let's dive back in and I'll show you how we're looking here on the chart. So trend line looks great until the last almost hour of the day. And what had happened is everyone was watching this trend line, hedge funds, traders, everybody. And so the natural idea is as you get near here, the expectation is maybe a bounce. But what had happened is this short selling, like ladder attacks type of situation, they know this. So they want to create momentum downwards. And what happened is I knew this was going to come in, so I decided it was time to watch that. Let's go to the 1 minute chart so you can see the volatility. And so as you see that kind of movement downwards, big volume, but typically you want to see more continuation. So you get a couple bars here, and the thought is like, hey, we should start going lower. And then so as this started tightening up and we realized we are going higher, that is when I entered my trade here under the expectation that I should be sitting very profitable in, the next hour or so as we're starting to close up in the options market, as expiration had happened. Clearly that didn't happen, so plan B is to now go out into further time frames and see what makes sense here. So what I'm going to do is show you what is really important here. When you get a big drop like this and there's like a short ladder attack, and we just kind of grind sideways and higher, that is a good thing, because what happens is there starts to be like short interest, and these funds have to manage their risk and hedge properly. And so they'll realize that like, hey, we made a profit, it's time to close out, or hey, we're paying so much interest to own these shares on loan, that we need to close out as well. And you see similarities in like GameStop too. So again, that's the main reason that I'm like kind of looking for that multi-X return off of a small amount of a trade. I'm on the 4 hour chart now, and I'll explain to you a couple things that we're looking at. So as you have this big leg up, you have to have consolidation. So I'm really impressed, honestly, that it hasn't gone lower, but I still won't be, I guess, surprised if it was to go lower in some way. So keep that in mind, that, just because everyone's talking stuff online, it's still your money at the end of the day. So do you want to protect it or not, right? So that's kind of the way to think about it. It doesn't mean this is definitely going lower, but let's assume it is. Well, then the price level I'm looking at here, I just highlighted it, it's the 36.72. So I'm around the 36 to 37 range. I'm going to start watching. I want to see how that price action looks, and I am willing to potentially add on to this, or maybe turn it into a spread trade for income or something along those lines. That's really key here, and we will see. Now, another thing that I'm curious on too is if we start trading sideways, then people who have bought calls or puts need to be a little bit concerned, because what's happening at this point in time is there was a lot of volatility. It sort of inflates or pumps the price of all the options, the call options, the put options, and people start buying those. You're buying them at an inflated price. So as the volatility contracts or shrinks, basically if we just trade sideways here for, another week or two, then we start to run into a problem, right? We're 2 weeks away from the monthly expiration. There is a possibility that we just kind of trade sideways next week. Who knows? And then what could happen is that your contracts will lose value rapidly. So bear that in mind. If someone is kind of full YOLO'd and you are concerned, figure out what risk level are you comfortable owning these stocks, or are you just gonna ride it to zero? Because that could happen. I mean, I'm not saying it will, but if it's a possibility, will you be happy? Right? That's really the ultimate way, and that's how I trade. Is like, can I sleep at night with this trade? If so, then I'm willing to take on that trade. Now, as these prices are tightening up and consolidating, this is almost like a perfect wedge or a flag pattern, whatever you want to call it. Generally speaking, on a bull flag, there is a strong chance it goes higher. But again, I don't want to get people pumped on that, because with hedge funds, with the way this is getting manipulated, you never know. Okay, so bear that in mind. Generally speaking, this is the most contracted this last day than the previous days. So there is a strong chance we start having more movement higher or lower. It just got to kind of like break out or break down. And with that possibility, we all got to be ready. So I'd like to know from all of you guys. I opened up a Webull account when we got our stimulus check, and the main reason I did this was to trade crypto, because Robinhood doesn't let me. Super frustrating. And done pretty well. But the more important thing I'm curious about, and I need your guys' feedback, is I was thinking that maybe it's like a start over thing. I can start at about 2,000 or 2,100. That's the minimum that that's the minimum that Webull lets you trade spreads at. So if this is of interest to you guys, I think it could be a learning opportunity. We could all kind of go through the growth and or the loss of the account together. But tell me what your thoughts are, and I'll be curious to find out.